I've got to show you something that got a top banking executive suspended, all because he told the truth about global warming. Told it right in the face of other bankers. Kapow, explosion. You know, this is why, of course, so many people believe in the great global warming scare, because it's so dangerous to tell people the plain, cool facts. Now, we're told by global warming activists, just, you know, follow the science, but so often, in fact, you end up just following the money, the grants, the subsidies, the handouts, the big bucks people make from selling carbon credits or green schemes or electric cars or whatever. It's incredible. I mean, why do you think it's the rich who push this global warming scare the most? It's the money.
You probably don't expect a speech title like this at a conference like this. I do have a beard, which is my one sop to responsible investing. But I can happily say that I'm probably the only head of responsible investing worldwide at a major bank who has never used the word journey, either in print or up on stage. And I take a very, very financial and investment view of the topic. And it's only 20 minutes till coffee. And what I'm going to do over the next course of the 10 slides is to say why I completely disagree with the presentation that Sharon from Deloitte gave a couple of presentations ago, and why climate change is not a financial risk that we need to worry about. Heresy. I completely get that there is a competition for funding. I completely get that at the end of your central bank career, there are still many, many years to fill in. You've got to say something. You've got to fly around the world to conferences. You've got to out-hyperbole the next guy. But I feel like it's getting a little bit out of hand. The constant reminder that we are doomed, the constant reminder that within decades it's all over. And indeed, Sharon said, we are not going to survive. And indeed, no one ran from the room. In fact, most of you barely looked up from your mobile phones at the prospect of non-survival. It's become so hyperbolic that no one really knows how to get anyone's attention at all. Now, I wouldn't normally mind that. 25 years in the finance industry, there's always some nut job telling me about the end of the world. I've dealt with gold bugs my whole financial career. The roof's going to cave down. Y2K. Does anyone remember Y2K? Anyone old enough? The lifts didn't stop. But what bothers me about this one is the amount of work these people make me do. The amount of regulation coming down the pipes, the number of people in my team and at HSBC dealing with financial risk from climate change. Last night, Target fell 25%. 25%. And people are asking the board of US companies to spend time dealing with climate risk.
You may say that's just one guy's rant, but Kirk pointed out something really interesting. People who invest their own money, so they're putting their house on this, actually seem to agree with him.
Markets agree, more or less, with me, despite the hyperbole. And this is a fun slide I put up just to annoy people. The more people say the world is going to end, and here I've looked at the number of incidences in all press around the world that use climate catastrophe, the number of times the phrase climate catastrophe is mentioned around the world, the higher and higher and higher risk assets go. In tandem. The more we're doomed, the higher prices go. How is that possible? So what's going on then? The Sharons and the Mark Carneys of this world need to tell us why prices are going up with our own demise.
It does seem weird, doesn't it? If you think the world's going to end in a, melted ball of earth, why would you be investing in long-term products? And as he pointed out, even if you do believe the worst scares of the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, and you shouldn't, what's the big deal really? Humans adapt. And global warming is not going to make us poorer by anything that you will ever notice.
A common argument, even used by the IPCC, is that it's going to hit GDP in year number, whatever it is, 2100. It's a long way away. They reckon it's going to lop off 2.5%. Their worst case models lops off 5%. What they fail to tell everybody, of course, is between now and 2100, economies are going to grow a lot. At about 2%, it's the red bar. At about 3%, it's the black bar. But the world is going to be between 500 or 1,000% richer. 1,000%. If you lop 5% off that in 2100, who cares? You will never notice.
Terry, Stuart Kirk got suspended by his bank for saying exactly what we've just heard. Why? I mean, because I can't see, was he wrong?
That was probably the most astonishing bit of video I've seen all week, Andrew, if not all year. You're not allowed to say those sort of things, as you've indicated. You're not allowed to say that global warming might be happening, it might be real, and he certainly wasn't denying that. I thought I might have been watching Bjorn Lomborg in disguise, Andrew, because that's essentially the same thing Bjorn Lomborg has been arguing, that when you're talking about things happening in 100 years' time, even if all the worst case scenarios come true, it's that far into the future that it's not an issue for today. It's not an issue, it's not impacting on today either in cost terms or in impact terms. But you're not allowed to say that, and you're particularly not allowed to say it when you're in the job that he's in, which is about selling the global warming scare and making money out of the global warming scare. I mean, in personal terms, I found it astonishing because he's probably cost himself a job which was paying him a salary of some millions of dollars a year.
But I think you've put your finger on it. Neither of us can see a thing in that that's not scientifically and financially absolutely true. Well, but he's been suspended because the bank makes money out of selling this scare.
But once again, we see somebody being suspended for basically doing their job and delivering value to his audience. You said $80 billion the government is going to spend on its global warming policies over the next 8 years. That's only what the government is going to spend, because you've got to add to that what it's going to cost viewers, what it's going to cost consumers, what it's going to cost every single Australian in terms of higher energy costs. And whether or not, even if and also whether the basic ability to actually access energy going forward. So, I mean, this was an astonishing exercise, and it's like a replay of that movie of Jim Carrey, Liar, Liar, where you feel he just couldn't resist telling the truth. He couldn't maintain the falsehoods.
But the problem is, a lot of people will take away from this motto: do not tell the truth about global warming, you will get fired. And that, in fact, I think is happening all over the world. So many universities, so many research institutions,
Indeed.
So many politicians also. They know the truth. They know this. It's like the Emperor's New Clothes. No one dares to say it. No one dares to say it. And that's why you get kids on the street crying in fear because they think the world's going to end because some adults were too gutless to tell them, listen, it's a con. It's not going to happen. Now, here, though, Terry, here's this banker, right, who's in the business of responsible investment, saying, listen, global warming is not a big financial problem at all. Forget it. But here in Australia, we have financial regulators like the Australian Prudential Regulation Authority telling financial institutions here they have to manage the financial risks of climate change. They have to go to all the expense of trying to prepare useless plans. Is this getting out of hand?
Well, it's not getting out of hand, Andrew, it's got out of hand, because it's building fantasies on fantasies which are costing real money. And anything that costs real money today is actually impacting negatively on real lives today. We're wasting money on doing things which are not going to achieve anything. You're pretending that there's a risk. You then spend real dollars and make real changes to fight that risk. At the same time, you're not doing anything sensible about the actual real risks of weather events along the way. I mean, if you want to get real about climate change, quote unquote, why aren't you prohibiting people building on floodplains? The floodplains that have been there for hundreds of years before climate change. Instead of fantasising about pretending you're going to solve a problem that might occur in 50 years' time.